I recently had the privilege of visiting Washington, D.C., and as I ventured through the streets and buildings of our nation's capital, a spark went off in my mind when I was thinking about my ALP. How could I blend history that I'm learning and have learned in the past with the fiction that I love to read? It gives you a better understanding of the era as a whole, so putting the two together can teach you a lot. So I was trying to figure out how to do that. Throughout my life, I've been enamored with American history. I think there's so much to offer and a lot of really interesting stuff, even though our country hasn't been around for very long. So I began to think of how I could teach it. The main source of fiction is The Red Badge of Courage, which is one of my favorite novels. So I immediately went to that. I've been taught it in a number of settings. I think one of the best was the Wishbone episode that I watched when I was a kid. It kind of got me interested in the Civil War. I mean, who doesn't love a dog running around a battlefield with a rag tied around his head? And even though I was young, Wishbone got me interested in the Civil War. So thinking back now, it's kind of silly, but it got me interested. So here I am, history buff, a novel buff, and kind of put it together. But I wanted to find out what my students that I would be teaching already knew. So most of the responses were just that they're intrigued by it, but they don't know too much, and that they kind of wanted to get beyond the textbook phase and get to something else. I feel like one of my sources that I used was kind of textbook-like, but is kind of disguised. So moving on, students really helped me out with sharing their varying degrees of knowledge. I like John talking about how he's more interested in things that happened more recently because he can hear what people actually went through in actual first-hand accounts. I think that's great. So you kind of got to find some of those to be able to teach the older stuff, and that's what I tried to do. So I brought in some technology. I showed a clip from Gods and Generals, and then also use History.com, which is the History Channel's website. They have a 150th anniversary page for the Civil War, and I used that, focusing on the who they were and the how they died section. So students said it helped them better visualize. It helped me form my own image of a typical soldier. I realized challenges. It brought it to life. It made me realize it was someone like me that could be in there. I liked viewing the website. It helped me put a face to the soldiers. I think that's really kind of the big stuff. Sometimes it's hard to look at facts, and that's kind of the textbook aspect. But he did like the website because it presented it in a different light. But he kind of wanted an individual story, so that's why I brought in Stephen Crane's short story, The Veteran. The Veteran is comes after the Red Badge of Courage and takes the Red Badge of Courage protagonist Henry Fleming and shows kind of an experience of how his life was shaped after the fact. I'm glad that John kept bringing up he wanted firsthand accounts, and even though Crane wasn't in the battle, he wrote a very good piece that explained the firsthand account. I didn't get overwhelming love for the story that I personally have. I think maybe if I was able to have a lot more time and teach the Red Badge of Courage, it would have been different. From this, I had them respond in a raft format, with a person. It gives them a style to write in, and I kind of kept it as open-ended as possible. It gives them a flotation device to do whatever they want to do, hence the name Raft. I got a lot of responses, most of them letters. One girl responded in a poem, which I thought was awesome, kind of showed my point in having it be open-ended, writing from a number of perspectives or writing in a number of genres. I think that's really important to enable students to do that. I guess from there, I was able to draw some conclusions. I love the creative response. I think it was great. Students gave me some things to think about, though. They gave me a variety of reactions to the story. John loved it. The rest of them basically didn't. I think if I had more time, I would teach the whole Red Badge of Courage, and from there, I would move on to the creative writing again. I think I don't really like worksheets, but I think a worksheet could really help with the website that I gave them. There's a lot of information there, and a little bit of extra guidance might be helpful instead of just saying, here it is, go at it. So I think having more guidance would be good. Those are the biggest sections that I would do. Changing the story and directing them more during the interactive time with the media. I think are two of the most important things that I can do, and I would love for them to have more information and have more focus so that they can get more out of it and just learn more. Hopefully, I will be able to implement this in my own classroom. I love the Civil War. I love what it presents and what all these students gave me a lot to think about. So, um, it's really good to be able to do this and to be able to learn a lot and learn along with my students.